in Clinton. My guest in studio today, Dan Matthews, is the DeWitt County Board Chair in studio following up last Tuesday night's DeWitt County Board meeting. Good morning, Mr. Matthews.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Pull that microphone a little closer to you, if you would, sir. Thank you very much. And DeeDee Rentmeister is the county administrator. Good morning, DeeDee.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming out and talking with us. And budget time of year, Mr. Matthews. I think Tuesday night the budget went on file, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
I'm going to defer to DeeDee on the
adopted.
actual date.
Adopted, okay.
Adopted, yes.
Yeah, so adopted on Tuesday night of last week. And DeeDee, how's the budget looking?
Oh, it looks great again this year. I've said it in the past, and I'll continue to say it. Our elected officials and appointed office holders do a great job submitting their budgets to us and trying to keep expenses in line.
Mm-hmm. So talk to me about some of the highlights of this year's budget. I think a lot of folks think about, will those wind farm dollars be coming in this year? What does the no cash bail look like? What are some of the levies? How about some of those things, DeeDee?
Well, the wind towers did come into effect this year. Sandy Schlosser, the supervisor assessments, did put those on at 50%, which anticipates increase in tax dollars of $12,160,000. So when we put the budget together, that definitely helped us with our anticipation of reduced money coming in from the Cash Bail Reform Act.
How did you plan for that, the cash bail reform stuff?
Well, we started last year. We reduced several line items and that usually affects the general fund. We did reduce some revenues in the fines and fees coming in last year. The cash bail didn't take effect till September of this year.
Right.
So since we had already planned for it hitting in the last year's budget, we just continued with this year. So we're kind of set up for it anyway, and we did that a year ahead of time.
Yeah. You mentioned that went into effect in September. I know the budgeting process had probably already taken effect, but were you able to just watch how no cash bail was impacting the county on like a month-to-month basis or anything? Like, have you had any ability to get an idea of, okay, maybe this is what we can plan for or anticipate going into next year?
Not really.
Yeah.
The budget does. By September, we're pretty close to having it set. So it was really hard to follow how that could have affected us going on. So we're just going to have to keep a really good eye on it this coming year and see where it lands.
Yeah, sure. You mentioned the wind farm dollars that are coming in around $12 million the first time around, hoping to offset some of the losses from what could be the cash bail reform stuff. Is there a cushion there for those to go other places, improve services, offer more opportunities? Maybe go to the county coffers. What do we have the possibility of with those dollars?
Well, actually, what that does is it increases the actual EAV that we use. So when we go to figure out the different levies associated with our funds, we can get more dollars for the same levy rate. So we can keep our levies then pretty consistent with what we've been doing for the last 3 years. The anticipated county rate, it will stay at 70 cents. Last year, which is the year that we're in now, the levy came in at 0.69. And then the year before it came in at 0.70. So we have been able to utilize tax dollars, increases. We saw an increase in our host fees, so that helped offset. So we're able to keep our levy rates pretty consistent then, and still have money to do the things that each office needs to operate their department.
Do you track much how that would compare to other counties in central Illinois and around us?
I don't.
Yeah, that's interesting. When it comes to just the levies themselves, the rate for this year, you talked about it being consistent. How important is it to keep that rate consistent for taxpayers, the county itself? How about some of those things?
Oh, I think it's very important. And as a taxpayer here in the county, knowing that at least on that portion of your tax bill, your county rate is, we have been very consistent, and that's due to the county board and to the elected officials of trying to keep keep on top of expenses that we know is coming up. So
How closely do you have to work with those department heads and those elected officials, on their budgets? Do you work with them at all, or is it kind of, hey, get me this and let's maybe talk about it after the fact? How
oh
about
no,
that?
it's a constant. We're all looking at our budgets throughout the year to seeing where we're at, because obviously sometimes unexpected things come up or mandates come down. Or,
Sure.
So it's with the department heads and elected officials. I'm in contact with them quite frequently on their budgets.
COVID money has afforded the county a lot of opportunities over the last few years. Talk a little bit about what maybe those dollars look like, and whether it's utilization, whether it's disbursement. How about COVID dollars in the year ahead, DeeDee? Anything standing out there?
Well, on the county level, we were able to do a lot of updates to our county facilities using that money. We just put on a new roof on the jail. Gosh, what else did we do?
We've done a number of things for law enforcement with some of the dollars that we have there. And you ask a good question of DeeDee, keeping track of the budget throughout the years. As board members, we certainly don't know how to use certain funds that we've allocated money for through the budgeting process. And as DeeDee said, by September, they had really, DeeDee, Melanie, the department heads had a really good idea of what we were looking at already. So for us, it's really just to kind of, again, each year learn a little bit more about how it really works, the budgeting system. And as we said, some wind farm revenue helped to offset some expenses. So that we could, hold our rates the same. And I think that's our job, is to try to do that, spend the money as wisely as we can. And by having all of it kind of all done for us, 90% of it done, it makes it really nice to just kind of really rubber stamp the good work that they do. So
yeah. And I thought Mr. Matthews brought up a good point, DeeDee. A lot of funds that come in, they have to go to certain places. There's, I know you've talked about this in the past. A lot of folks think there's probably a lot of flexibility with the county budget and how we spend our money. But really, I don't know if 90% is the accurate figure, but there's a lot of money in the budget that has to go to certain places. Speak more to that.
Right. Just like our corporate fund. We can only, the maximum rate can be 27 cents. That of all the tax dollars collected, up to 27 cents can go to the general fund. We've been very, very fortunate, and we watch that budget. That corporate levy really operates all the departments except the highway department, because they do have their own levies to operate. We've kept that rate at 25 cents for the last 4 years. So we're not at the maximum, which is great. But then you have, like I said, you have the highway department. They have their own money that operates all the updates and upgrades to the roads and stuff. So money collected for that can only go to the highway department.
Right.
The same with, we have a mental health levy. That money's collected. It can only be used for mental health. The Friendship Center, they also have their own levy. So those funds, they total 70 cents total. But when they're collected, they cannot be, you can't say, oh, well, I'm short on the general fund, so I'm going to take from highway. Can't happen.
Exactly. Yeah. Good point. Well made as well. Now, when it comes to like some of the projects we saw, like Revere Road, there was a pretty extensive project there out there. Not all those dollars came from the county budget, correct? Like some of that came from IDOT. I know I don't know if there were
federal funds.
federal funds in
that
as well. How about that project and some of those things?
I can't really answer on that. That's a two-part. I know that's a two-part process.
Yeah, sure.
I know people are like, well, how are we going to do the rest of that road?
Yeah.
It is, but because that involves federal money also, it just takes a little more time.
Yeah, well, the point I was hoping you'd make was that, not everything you see happening in the county is always a result of the dollars here. Like I think of the Route 10 work we had done a few years back. Now we get Revere Road. Like, a lot of times those things are done locally, but the dollars and the influx of funds come from outside of the county. So,
right, and big projects like that, because we are limited on what the levy is, could take 2 or 3 years of levy money to get that enough money to earmark to get those projects started.
Sure. How would you just, DeeDee, kind of in closing here, describe the county budget at this point? What would you say about it?
Oh, I think it's excellent. I think the taxpayers of DeWitt County should be very proud of the elected officials and appointed department heads for holding the line and being able to, stay at that 70-cent rate. That's just, I think it's unheard of in today's world. And, you asked me if I looked at other counties. I haven't this year, but I know other counties our size, they're at $1 easily.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think that everyone's done a great job of asking for what they need and being able to continue to operate and serve the citizens of the county.
Very good. Mr. Matthews, was there anything on the budget you wanted DeeDee to talk about? Anything you wanted to mention?
No, I think she's covered it very well. I just, we kind of said, what projects have we done? We've done more with some of the ARPA funds, but even within the budget, we were able to give a little bit additional raises to employees this year. And I think it's just again, spending money wisely throughout the year and budgeting correctly. And, people are holding the line of what they really need within their departments. And so that allowed us to do some of those things that I think, and still stay at that 70 cents that DeeDee talked about.
Very good. Very good, guys. Let's take a break here. We'll come back on the other side, talk more with, again, Mr. Dan Matthews, DeeDee Rentmeister with the DeWitt County Board, our guests in studio. More to come with them on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW. For more information.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn and beans steady at this hour. Wheat trading higher. March corn up 1/4, $4.85. May corn up 1/4, $4.97. July corn up half a penny, 5.06 1/2. January beans up half a penny, 13.25 1/2. March beans down 1/4, 13.45 1/4. May beans, 13.60 down half a penny. December wheat, 5.83 up 6. March wheat up 11, 6.13 3/4. May wheat up a dime, 6.27. January bean meal up $1.80, 414.50. January bean oil, 51.68 up 23 cents. Livestock market, January feeders down 457, 209.85. December live cattle down 215, 167.12. December lean hogs up 22 cents, 68.82. Energy market, January crude oil 73.31, down 76 cents. I'm Jim Taylor.
MR Systems Wireless is your local internet provider for Clinton and surrounding area. They have the products you want and the local service you deserve. MR Systems Wireless Internet service for home or business includes unlimited data, unlimited streaming, and unlimited calling. Plans start at just $48 a month and get a free Roku 4 lease with our media packages. Get the speed you need with MR Systems Wireless. Call them at 935-2100. That's 935-2100 for MR Systems Wireless.
Warner Hospital and Health Services in Clinton. CEO Paul Scarron reminding you our walk-in clinic inside our family medicine building will treat your flu symptoms without an appointment. Find out more by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
For the latest in Central Illinois agricultural news, visit IllinoisFarmRadio.com. Get updated information on markets, weather, ag news, local interviews with NAFB farm broadcaster Jared White, and much, much more. All at IllinoisFarmRadio.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, Mr. Dan Matthews is the DeWitt County Board Chair and joins us in studio today to recap last Tuesday night's DeWitt County Board meeting. And Mr. Matthews, a lot of discussion around the renewable energies, particularly solar this time around. What's going on here?
Yeah, so it seems to be a topic that frequently comes up at our board meetings. At this meeting, the board was approving the solar ordinance that was put forth in front of us. And what seemed like a short meeting ended up being a couple of hours, just as we talked through the, not really changes in what was brought forward to us, but just kind of the language cleanup in there. Just try to make it as clean for anyone who is coming in to, propose a solar farm in our county, that they knew exactly. We just want to make it easy that there's it's understanding exactly what's in there, what it means to them, what our obligations are to the community, things like that. So that probably would have went through very smoothly. Mr. Carter added an amendment to that about battery storage. So the thing about that was that he wanted to put a amendment in there that said battery storage had to be 3,000 feet from any residence, hospital, daycare, school, which made a lot of sense to everyone. We want to protect those surrounding any kind of solar farm. But all of our obligation too is always to understand, is it allowable to do that, right? Is there any state regulation or state law that says it can't be, we can't put that restriction in there? So having Mr. Markwell there, and we just spent some time trying to make sure that if we added that, it wouldn't, that by itself was in violation, that wouldn't throw out the whole ordinance. And we came to the conclusion that not any one factor would make the whole ordinance invalid. And so we did, in fact, end up passing that as a group.
Yeah, so a couple of things on that. Did solar companies weigh in on that potential amendment, and what did they have to say, or potentially have to say, about how that would impact their projects, to make it happen and make it feasible in our county?
So there was one gentleman there from one of the companies that is looking to bring a solar farm to DeWitt County, and I asked him during the meeting if he had had any experience with any kind of setbacks like that on the battery storage. He hadn't presently. I kind of followed up with him on the next day, just to make sure that I understood his answer to the question, and he didn't really indicate that was a problem or any that would keep someone from doing it. It's just another thing they need to consider when proposing a solar farm.
So what is kind of the status of any solar projects in the county right now? Are there any pending applications or any that you know of that are forthcoming? How about that?
I know we have at least one, DeeDee, but is that
Blue Iris, it's in the up on the county line by Farmer City.
Yeah.
Their application will actually come to the county board on December 21st for approval. It's a 40-acre proposal. There is no battery. They're not proposing any battery storage on site for this one. It has gone through the process of the RPC, and just last week the ZBA held the public hearing, so both boards have recommended approval for this project.
Okay, sure. So when it comes to other renewables there, Dan, like wind, with the state stepping in on those things, have we heard much about any potential new developments on the wind sector, wind side of things?
Nothing that we've dealt with up to this point, and you and I had a lot of discussion about the CO2 pipelines, and all of that seems to be on hold, as well as they're still trying to figure out at the state and federal level what the regulations and rules should be for those kind of projects. So right now there's nothing else that we have that we're looking at.
I was wondering about the solar issue. You mentioned like the wind, the state kind of stepped in with that. Has the state stepped in at all with the solar stuff and kind of given you guidelines or laws you have to follow as it relates to those things? I haven't heard much, but that doesn't mean it's not out there.
Yes, they have.
Yeah. What have they done?
They did the setbacks. They also, very similar to wind, have designated what zoning districts and uses where they can be allowed. So they stepped in very similar to what they've done on the wind side.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so a lot of state intervention in those things,
Yes.
No doubt about it. Mr. Matthews, a few minutes yet still here this morning. Let's just kind of do a review of 23, if you don't mind, on the county side of things. What were some of the highlights of the last year for the county?
Well, it's kind of hard to believe that we're already 1 year into the new board, as I said. So, we have a 10-year process where on the 10th year we only half the board gets elected for 2 years, and the other half is 4. So actually today is the end of the filing day for those who got a 2-year term last year. So most of the people have filed that were on the current board, but it's gone by quickly with the new board and learning. We've had obviously a lot with the animal control facility. Just quickly, Tony came in on last week at our meeting, and he has hired 2 additional employees out there, which is great. So things are going very well out there. That took a lot of the time for the committees. The Marina Committee is ready to get an RFP out in a couple weeks. So we've talked about the Marina, several times throughout the year. We're ready to get that RFP out and see what people want to bring to DeWitt County as possibly purchasing the marina.
How long do they have on that, or how long is that open for?
We are going to have about a 60-day window for responses, and then we'd like a we put out a timeline to try to get it done by April 1st. So we have that'll be part of the RFP, is to have the actual dates in there. But a lot of people have been inquiring about it already, so they know what the marina brings, what they offer. It'd just be a matter of what they offer to us, and if we decide it's a good decision to sell it or do something different with the marina.
Do you want to address, I know last time we just briefly touched on the issue that had come up with that property that was sold adjacent to the marina.
Sure.
Do you want to address that a little more now
that's
that
definitely been taken care of. So
Okay.
last time I really couldn't say much because it was kind of a legal issue that was out there. But since then, so we know a mistake was made originally, and all four areas of the marina were deeded to the person who only bought the two of the what word am I missing
Four
here?
parcels.
Parcels,
Yeah.
yes, the parcels. And so a paperwork mistake was made. That's been rectified. The person who got the original deed has done the quick claim deed. And so there is no issue with that. The county owned the marina, has kept it, owns the marina now in full. So there's no issue with that.
All right, that is settled. Very good, very good. Looking to 24, Mr. Matthews, you talked about the marina issue. That sounds like we could potentially see a resolution to that coming next year. Anything else in the year ahead that the board might take up or looks forward to taking up? Anything that's on your mind as you think about that?
I'm certain there's still going to be some, green initiative type things that are going to come up. There's going to be, I would assume, additional solar projects. There could be wind. There's going to be CO2. I think those are things the board is always dealing with. Other than that, I think just taking care of county business. We do have some ARPA funds remaining, not a lot, but on our side, maybe some more county projects that we want to look at. We've upgraded out at the animal control facility. We did some work at the ambulance facility out there. So there'll be things like that, I think, that'll come along. But any real big projects on hand, I'm not aware of them right now.
Yeah. Animal shelter real fast. How are things going out there with Tony at the helm and those sorts of things?
I think they're going great. And the number reason I say that is my phone isn't ringing anymore. So, or a lot of other board members. So he's done a good job. He's hired some good people. And I think, we're going to see some, really good results out of that. We already are. So
Very good. Very good. Well, guys, I appreciate you making time for us. Happy holidays. We'll see you in December, I guess. So thanks so much.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, very good. DeeDee Rentmeister, DeWitt County Administrator, in studio with us this morning with Dan Matthews, who is the DeWitt County Board Chair. We follow up last Tuesday's DeWitt County Board meeting here on The Morning Show. The Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton.